Ah, MMORPGs. Ever since my first foray into the genre with Lineage 2, I've always been fascinated with what it promised. There are very few memories I don't cherish from that era, even though it's not the type of game that I would play today. And as I've grown over the years of playing games, I've come to a realization. Being an MMORPG player is hard. We are a thirsty bunch, with the perfect MMO being always just over the horizon. We hop from game to game, hoping to recreate that same feeling of wonder when we entered the world of our first MMO oh so very long ago. And not only that, since the genre's inception, there has been the holy grail of MMOs. A vision so widespread that its allure has spawned a plethora of other fictional media that utilize the concept as a part of its narrative. And that coveted vision is the ultimate sandbox MMORPG. It isn't a coincidence that the Sandbox MMO and the aforementioned derivative media share a lot of the same driving motivations for the player and the protagonist. A fresh start in a new world with new rules, separate from the cards that life has dealt us. A chance to be someone different. Chance to be someone who matters. Throughout history, and even today, people move across vast distances to start a new life. And conceptually, it's not dissimilar to the question, if you could live your life again, what would you do differently? But with swords, guns, and giant robots. Whatever the reason, the allure is real. Games are a form of escapism, one of the best in my opinion, and arguably the Sandbox MMO is its ultimate form, quite literally allowing us to escape one world for another from the comforts of our own Nutri-Chair. After all, what are video games is not fun distilled abstractions of life and its many romanticizations. And technology has been generally working towards making games capable of feeling and looking and playing more real than ever before. The end game for games, pun intended, is quite clear. To create a new world, not unlike our own, but with blackjack and hookers. So it's not a surprise why this has been such a goalpost for so many MMORPGs over the years. But it's increasingly looking bleak for that future. As games and the internet has begun to mature and form their own trends, it has also begun to jeopardize the allure of the sandbox MMO. First of these is simply the trend of game monetization. Due to the push for games as a service, games are increasingly being designed with microtransactions in mind. Compounding that with the cost of game development for something as ambitious as a sandbox MMO, it's not exactly surprising about the inclusion of microtransactions from a business point of view. But from a point of view of an MMO player, in-game microtransactions tie the real world to the new world. After all, your money now has value in this new place, and will continue to do so throughout its lifespan. Because of this, regardless of the nature of the item or service being sold, a little piece of the old world has followed you here. A constant reminder that at best, you are only a visitor, or at worst, a wandering pocket full of cash in an amusement park designed to empty you. Secondly, with the advent of the internet, information has become increasingly easy to find and digest. Guides and walkthroughs to deep dives into the nitty-gritty. Whatever you're looking for, chances are it's being put on the internet in record time. As soon as any MMO is accessible in any form, it's a race between websites and content creators to gather as much information as possible. After all, they deal in parsed information in return for your traffic. This again disrupts that new world feeling, with so many things all figured out by the time the bulk of the players have even a chance of having played the game. Now it's less of a new start and more retreading of the steps. Someone's been here already, and you can follow in their footsteps without experiencing any of the missteps that's key to exploring something new. And because the often competitive nature of sandbox MMOs, not optimizing may have dire consequences on your ability to influence that world in the future. So the players are incentivized to seek this information, else risk falling behind. This leads to the loss of crucial mystery that gives flavor vital to encouraging and rewarding exploration of the world or your character's capabilities. And lastly, The rise of streamers and other internet personalities have further made the concept of a new start even harder. After all, part of the allure is being able to make something from nothing, including a community. But a popular streamer already has one, a fan base, a package deal that they bring with them anywhere they're publicly engaging with the game, regardless of whether they want to or not. And when that game is a sandbox MMO, well, it's definitely not a new start anymore for the streamer, or arguably anyone else. It's not really just the streamers either. Multi-game communities and guilds exist now, all making landfall with a fleet of ships immediately capable of making a sizable impact from the get-go. The improved community features of the internet that has brought countless people together has led to players being able to bypass what used to be done within the context of the game itself. Taking into account all these factors, all of a sudden the level playing field isn't exactly level anymore, and a fresh start just isn't as fresh. And also, unfortunately, these are all problems that exist outside of the Sandbox MMORPG. Things that the developers have no control over but can either flow with or against with great difficulty. With so many external modern trends that unintentionally undermine the spirit of the Sandbox MMO, even if we had the technology to pull it off, the experience may be unable to hold the same magic that we hoped. At least not without undergoing a change in vision or compromises in key places. Or maybe it wasn't even possible to begin with. But you know, enough with the doom and gloom. In my next video, I'll present my own unrealistic ideas and possible solutions to these problems. But until then, what are some of your opinions on Sandbox MMOs and their future? Thanks for watching.